Welcome to the reproductive system, specifically the male reproductive system. This is a lateral view of the anatomical structures of the male reproductive system. This is posterior because I can see the sacrum. This is anterior because I can see the penis. Just going to go over the anatomical features. This structure here is the bladder. Therefore, this is the ureter. This is the prostate gland. These are your seminal vesicles. This is the vas deferens or ejaculatory duct. This is the epididymis, the yellow structure. This is the testes. This is the scrotum that houses the testes. This is the penis. This is the body of the penis. And this is the glans penis, the tip where the circumcision takes place. Thank you.
All right, so next we're going to go through the female reproductive tract. And by the way, please be sure to go through these models when you're next in lab and make sure that you can find these structures on your own. So the female reproductive tract, this model, we're looking at the lateral surface of, this would be the uterus here, right here. And then this is the urinary bladder. But to really see the structures that we want to look at today, we're going to need to start in a median section. So I'm going to remove this. And now, again, this is the uterus cut in half, a median section, and then here's our urinary bladder. But we're going to begin up here where the egg is formed. So the egg is produced in the ovary, and then when the egg is released from a follicle, it's going to be caught here by the fimbriae, which are the little finger-like projections here of the infundibulum. So here's our fimbriae, here's our infundibulum, and that egg's going to be caught and then carried here down the oviduct or the uterine tube. There's a lot of different names, fallopian tube, all the same thing. Egg's going to be carried down here, and then it's going to be carried to the lumen of the uterus. And you can see how thick the muscle layer of the uterus is. This is the myometrium of the uterus, not on your list, but just pointing it out. So our egg is now here in the lumen. Potentially, it was fertilized up here in the oviduct, and as a fertilized egg, it would then implant and begin to eventually form an embryo and fetus. And eventually that fetus is going to pass out here through the cervix. So the cervix is the muscle right here at the opening of the uterus. And then we have the vaginal canal. And so this opening here is going to be the vaginal orifice. All right? And keep that in mind relative to the urinary tract. So here's the urinary bladder. This is the urethra. And down here we have the external urethral orifice. So in the female, we have two openings, one for the urinary tract and one for the reproductive tract. The external urethral orifice is anterior, while the vaginal orifice for the reproductive tract is posterior. And these openings are protected by the vulva. This is the vulva as a whole, and there are two lips to the vulva, the labia minor and the labia major. And also associated in the vulvar region is the clitoris, right here, or clitoris. It's said different ways. And I think I got the entire list there. Also, on your female reproductive lab handout are mammary glands and structures you need to know with the mammary glands. We do not have a model of the mammary glands, so that will come from a picture similar to one in your lab book or textbook. So be sure to go through those pictures and to look at those structures.
Welcome. This model represents the female reproductive system. So this is a lateral sagittal view of the reproductive organs of the female. This view is anterior, so here we have adipose tissue, then we have that mons pubis. Here is posterior, we have the gluteal, the buttock region, adipose tissue, and then here's the sacrum and the coccyx. So that's posterior, okay? So that means that this is the rectum, okay? The sigmoid colon, the rectum. Here you have the uterus, that is the uterus. And that means that this is the bladder, okay? This is the bladder. So the uterus is found there, and I'm going to remove this. And that's what you see on the inside. So there's the large intestine, the anus where poop or feces is going to come out. Here's the uterus. The uterus has 3 layers, okay? So we have the perimetrium, the myometrium, and then the endometrium, the innermost layer where it's going to be shed during the menstrual cycle, but it is also going to be where an embryo is going to implant once it's fertilized by the sperm, okay? So this is the uterus, all right? This rounded region here is the cervix, and then this region is the vagina. This entire structure, number 10, is the vagina. That means that this is the vaginal canal. So that means that this is where the baby is going to be expelled, okay? That's the vaginal orifice. And again, moving more anterior, this is the bladder, okay? So this is where your urine is stored. And then this is your urethra. The urethra is shorter in females. That's why they're more prone to urinary tract infections. But this is also where we're going to expel urine from. So this is the urethral opening, okay? Let's go back to the uterus, because the uterus, this is the fundus of the uterus, and you can see that the uterus has fallopian tubes, okay? Or ovarian tubes. And so here are the fallopian tubes, and then they are going to have this pink structure is the fallopian tube, and then at the end of the fallopian tube they're going to have these finger-like projections here. They're called fimbriae, and the fimbriae is what's going to catch the ovum, the egg that's released from number 15, which is the ovary, okay? So this is going to be number 14 is the fallopian tube, the uterine tube, and at the end of the uterine tube it is going to have fimbriae, and 15 is the ovary, okay? And there's 2, but remember we're looking at a sagittal view, so the other half is not there, okay? And that is your female reproductive system. Thank you.